Former managing editor of the Washington Post, Steve Cole, gives some insight into the real manhunt for Osama bin Laden and the emergence of the Predator drone as a tool of the Air Force/CIA in Chapter 29 of 2005's Ghost Wars. We take you back now to a year and a half before the attack on the Twin Towers. By the late spring of 2000, Richard Clarke and his White House counterterrorism group had grown frustrated by the quality of intelligence reporting on Osama bin Laden's whereabouts. The CIA's unilateral human sources and its liaisons with Pakistan, Uzbekistan, and Masood had generated volumes of fragmented hearsay, but nothing solid enough to warrant missile strikes or a snatch operation. Clarke asked his longtime acquaintance in the national security bureaucracy, Charles Allen, who ran all of the CIA's intelligence collections efforts, to work with Admiral Scott Fry, head of operations at the Joint Chiefs of Staff, on fresh approaches to the bin Laden problem. Clarke and his aides continued to hope the Pentagon would come up with a plan to use American commandos in Afghanistan. This is spring 2000. So where the public was led to believe the invasion of Afghanistan was a knee-jerk reaction, it was not. They were vying for a way to go to Afghanistan at very least a year earlier. The book continues. Despite the confusion of competing recollections, it seems clear, in the general sense, that Clarke, Fry, Berger, Allen, Black, and officers in the CIA's bin Laden unit jointly conspired, amid persistent squabbling among themselves, to launch the Predator experiment. It was these efforts that finally got them the approval to send Predator drones to Afghanistan. In the summer of 2000, the CIA begins engaging in secret talks with Uzbekistan for permission to use it as a jump-off point to fly the reconnaissance drones over Afghanistan. The reason for involving Uzbekistan is because in the early days of drones, they could only be remotely piloted from a distance while already in the air. Takeoff and landing were trickier and required a nearby control station. The drones were first tested in Bosnia in 1995, then Kosovo in 1999. What the CIA found was that they were too light and too slow. Also, there was the problem of the nearby control station. The pilot had to sit in a sealed, unmarked van near the runway of the drone's operating base. For the two aforementioned operations in Bosnia and Kosovo, these bases were in Hungary and Albania. The van was surrounded by generators and satellite dishes, with a pilot inside using a joystick in front of a screen. The drone was controlled by radio signal and then satellites.